You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
I hope you're enjoying the weekend right now, if you are listening to this on Sunday. And what I want to do is I want to do a follow-up house call from all of our calls we had yesterday. So we had, I think, 7 great questions or 8 great questions. Really everything from exercise to nutrition, health-related issues. So definitely check that out if you didn't. And again, yesterday's show notes are always at stephencabral.com/podcast. And yesterday specifically was episode 449. Okay, so we're going to get into our calls today. So all of our different questions. Each and every week, our community writes in with their most pressing wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging based questions, and I'm always happy to answer those. We're usually about 2 to 3 weeks behind when you ask that question, so do feel free to just wait a couple weeks for your question to be answered, and we'll always do our best to get each and every one of those in to the best of our ability. So let's get started. The first question today is from Jessie. She's asking, thanks for your podcast on castor oil packs. Other castor questions. Do you recommend this topically for scarring on face? How much? Do you recommend a tablespoon of castor oil at night to keep bowels movements going during a cleanse or in general day-to-day life? I have been hearing very beneficial daily. Can you rub on your abdomen as lotion at night if you don't have time for the pack? Still beneficial? ? Okay, so let's see if we can link up and find that previous show specifically on castor oil packs. Castor oil is one of those things that, again, has been talked about since Edgar Cayce. He brought it back. He was one of the natural health practitioners, let's say about 50 years ago or so, to really talk more about essential oils, to talk about things like castor oil, though, to talk about herbs and really bring them into the United States and speak more about them. And of course, Ayurvedic medicine and the other forms of Eastern-based medicine has been using castor oil and the castor oil leaves for many, many thousands of years. So during that episode, and again, I'll link it up in the show notes, but it was episode 424. So castor oil uses and packs. I link up to a bunch of different things in that show, how to make it, my recommended products, which were, using the flannel. So I won't go into that today. So here's the thing. Can it be used for acne scars? Yes, but what I do is I'd recommend going to episode 386. So episode 386 of the Cabral Concept talked about what to do for facial scars. And then also, I would not use it internally except as needed, maybe the last day of a cleanse or, a specific thing, like if you were doing a specific liver cleanse, whatever it might be, just because it's so powerful, it can really induce cramping. And you don't want to use it on a daily basis because you don't want your bowels to have to then rely on an outside substance for a longer period of time to get that peristaltic movement working. So, what I would say is you can use it as needed. And again, it's going to induce a larger bowel movement. It's going to induce potentially looser stool. So something to think about. And yes, it absolutely does work great during a cleanse if needed. I don't use it. I don't recommend it for the most part to people unless in special circumstances. We use something called the intestinal cleanse. Of course, you can find that at stephencabral.com/store. That works great for a 5-day cleanse. Really, really beneficial. And then can you use it on your abdomen like we talked about on that previous show of the castor oil packs? Yes, you absolutely can. You can just rub it on at night and you can rub your abdomen in a clockwise motion if you're looking down towards your navel. So, would you still get the same benefits? Yeah. Yes and no, because you won't have the same heat. But if you gently relax your abdomen, you're going to be getting that relaxation response, which is also what you want. And that helps with constipation as well. So hopefully that answers your question, Jesse. All right, next up is Heather. Heather asks, hi, Dr. Cabral. First, I want to thank you for your free podcast. My husband and I have made some serious changes since starting your daily podcast. I've been dealing with forehead acne for almost 6 years. Post getting off implantation birth control, the acne that is tiny bumps all throughout the forehead, sometimes jawline and back of neck, which never come to a head, just stay under the skin. I have been to dermatologists and have been prescribed each time, topical. She just goes on to talk about antibiotics and topical creams, and she's worried about using some of the more harsh things. She uses coconut oil on her face for a cleanse, makeup daily for removing makeup and daily toxins, gotten rid of all the harsh soaps, gotten off more of the poor foods, and still not able to get rid of acne. Okay, well, Heather, we've covered acne really in depth. So we covered cystic acne way back on episode 162. We talked about acne and treatments for that in episode 224, 232, 315, and 353. So we'll link them all up in the show notes. I don't want to rehash those because we are really going to try to get through as many questions as possible. But I have answered all of those different things, talking about toxins, talking about balancing hormones. I highly recommend, being careful applying any type of makeup to the face that might not let your skin breathe. And the coconut oil might be a little too thick for the skin, too much of a saturated fat. You might do better with argan oil or jojoba oil, which is spelled Jojoba. So look into those as well as all those different episodes, and you'll have lots of information. That's probably a half hour's worth of talk on acne, and that will certainly give you much more information than I can give you right now in just a 2-minute answer. Okay, Cece is up next. He or she writes in, "Hi, Dr. Cabral. I have 2 quick questions. My nose is guaranteed to always run in hot or cold temperatures. Outside cold weather or taking a hot shower, eating hot soup, spices. What would be the cause of this? As far as I'm aware, I have no allergies. It's purely temperature related. Also, I wonder what your view is on CBD oil and if there are any brands that you favor or in favor of. Thanks so much. Excellent show." So this is actually called allergic or chronic rhinitis, or there's another form of this runny nose that's called non-allergic rhinitis with eosinophilia syndrome. So that's what I had. That's one of the many things I was blessed with, was non-allergic rhinitis with eosinophilia syndrome. And what that means is you have this eosinophils, which are a type of white blood cell, and it does actually, so it's called non-allergic rhinitis, but those eosinophils actually come from environmental sensitivities, food-based sensitivities, and also the way I developed mine was I had been on antibiotics for 3 years straight, and so it wiped out a lot of the good flora in my gut, but also people don't realize it. It's actually in your nasal passages as well. So essentially all the way in your nose and around your throat and everything down, it's called your mucus-associated lymphoid tissue, the MALT. Just like a lot of people know about the GALT, that's the gut-associated lymphoid tissue. Well, in the MALT, you also have IgA and you have IgE, we have eosinophil-based reactions, and those reactions can actually be weather-based, per se. It's more environmental based, and definitely it is food based. So the other thing that I had was just a chronic yeast, fungal based overgrowth. And so the way I was able to eventually get rid of this rhinitis, whether it's allergic, chronic, or non-allergic, was to clean up my gut. So basically I got rid of the SIBO that I had. I got rid of the candida overgrowth that I had. And that's why obviously I offer that protocol to everyone now at such an insanely low price. And that's just kind of like, I don't know if it's the best way of saying my gift, but it's my protocol, my thing that I've seen work better than anything else. And it's at probably half the price that most people would offer that at. So that's what I would absolutely do. You can actually run an organic acid test to see if you have the same fungal overgrowth, yeast overgrowth, bacterial overgrowth as well. Or you can go right into the candida-based protocol. And then I would absolutely do make sure that you do a food sensitivity test, which is the IgG food sensitivity test that you can run right at home. You very well could have a gluten, an egg, a dairy, any one of those allergies that's also causing that. Yes, I understand that it's more environment-based, but it can kick up because of what's called an increased Th2 immune imbalance. And again, that goes along with all of these type of syndromes, we'll call them, such as the allergies, the asthma, the inflammation, the nasal passage issues. So that's what I recommend. And then just in the time being, adding vitamin C, adding omega-3s, adding zinc, and adding B vitamins, all of those things will help to calm down the eosinophils, those white blood cells in general. So the vitamin C is great as an antihistamine. Omega-3s are great at knocking down the eosinophils. Zinc is good at balancing the immune system. And B vitamins help with stress. So those are all other recommendations as well. Excuse me, I have to back up one moment. There was a second part to this question about CBD oil. So CBD oil is absolutely fantastic. We haven't talked about it. We actually have it just as of a couple weeks ago on our website. And that's because I've been doing, it's been about 9 months to 12 months of research and review on cannabidiol and cannabinoids. And the truth is that unbelievably powerful. I mean, just in terms of anxiety, inflammation, insomnia, pain, remarkable. But I want to do it justice. I want to be able to do a whole show on it. But you can actually get the product So we're literally offering, we sourced it directly from the top organic farm in Colorado, because that's what we look to, is just who's the very best at doing this. And our source is legitimately 80% stronger, meaning like I shouldn't say 80%, it's 5 times stronger. So it's 500 times stronger than your typical dosage that you'll see out in the market for the same exact price. So I don't want to go into that today, but you can just go to stephencabral.com/store and then just click on the supplements tab and you'll be able to check it out. We don't even have a write-up yet. It's kind of so new, but it's unbelievably powerful. I've been using it now for, almost 5 months to test it out myself. And I can tell you, especially when you get home and just popping a dropper under your tongue or half a dropper under your tongue, like how it helps you relax and how it helps you get into a deeper sleep is just fantastic. And now it's being studied with children with autism, ADD, ADHD, executive functioning disorder. It's really, really fantastic. So, and again, you don't get any of the cannabis or the THC that would give you the high that a lot of people have a stigma, around as well. So we'll talk about that in the future. All right. So Joe is up next. Hey, Dr. Cabral, I was wondering what you thought of oil of oregano for a daily tonic. I hear one side say it's selective and doesn't kill good bacteria, and that you could even make kefir with it. And then you have the other side saying it will destroy your good gut bacteria. Also, I've been working on fixing adrenal fatigue from an anti-candida diet and tried taking adaptogens like ashwagandha and rhodiola and got severe insomnia and just felt like I couldn't shut my body down. I know these aren't for everyone and people react differently. Wasn't sure if it was that or if I was adapting to handle some underlying stress in my body. Thanks. Really appreciate your answers to everyone's questions. You're the man. All right. Thanks, Joe. Great questions. So let me just get to this ashwagandha rhodiola thing. Talked about this many times. Great product called Cortisol Manager that you can take at night. It's phosphatidylserine along with ashwagandha, or you can just take ashwagandha before bed. So that's great. Rhodiola, I would use that more towards the day. I would use that in the morning when you wake up or maybe around lunchtime. That's going to give you more of the energy-based. Yes, they're both adaptogens, absolutely, but ashwagandha is clinically shown to help really regulate that cortisol, meaning like down-regulating it if needed. So both of those really are fantastic herbs, and I use them both in my practice. I just prefer you can use them both during the day, but not the rhodiola towards the evening. Okay. So the question was really about oregano oil. So oil of oregano is hands down one of my top 10 herbs, especially as a natural antibiotic, antimicrobial. And yes, there are mixed reviews saying that it can kill good gut bacteria and it could selectively only kill the bad bacteria. Here's what I do. I only use oregano oil when I would be using a natural antifungal or antibiotic. So I use it when someone is very sick and they need that. And so that makes sense, I think. We use the wild oregano drops or we just use the oil of oregano capsules. So that Oregano, I believe, is the company. Great product, great herb. So this is how I do. I look at herbs as a form of medicine because that's what they are. Herbs are medicines. So what I do is I'll use them for a candida protocol. So in our candida and bacterial overgrowth protocol, which is for SIBO, Crohn's, colitis, any of these things, again, we're not diagnosing disease. We're not treating disease. We're working on the underlying imbalances, which is the terrain of the gut. So we use that because they have been shown to literally kill candida, yeast, fungus, mold, and also kill bacteria. So we use that as part of our 12-week protocol, and then we start to repopulate the gut after the 4th week with just very specific strains, one strain at a time, and then we just basically build our way up. Would I use oregano oil for daily use? I would not. So I just simply would not use all herbs for the most part. Some, yes. Like ashwagandha is actually one of those exceptions. But I would not use oil of oregano on a daily basis. Again, there are exceptions to every rule. I have right now a woman who's about 62 in my practice. She has dealt with recurring UTIs as well as yeast overgrowth for close to 35 years. We have her on a low dose on a daily basis, and it works fantastic for her to keep yeast at bay. And that way she doesn't have to keep doing a full-blown protocol or using something like diflucan or nystatin or something for the UTIs. So again, exception to every rule. I just personally wouldn't use it myself. And, but again, great clinical uses. I remember when I was in India for one of my trips and I was actually going to be speaking at a 3-day event. I was speaking literally for all 3 days. And I got extremely sick on the flight over, really, really sick, where an antibiotic could have been called for. But instead, I brought my supplies and I used my oil of oregano as well as a grapefruit seed extract, a lot of really strong, powerful powerful things. And I was able to knock that down in about 3 to 5 days. So again, great stuff, and you can use it as you need. All right, Misty is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I've been listening to your podcast for several months now. I've even gone back and listened to previous shows. My question is about detoxing. About 10 years ago, I started taking a real interest in my health. I am an ethical vegan who tries to follow a plant-based diet, but does occasionally indulge in some vegan junk food. I've tried to do several different detoxes. The first I was introduced to was the Master Cleanse. I tried it and failed miserably. Each detox I've tried, I have thought was more sophisticated and healthier detox than the previous. The last one I tried was your 7-day detox. With all of the detoxes, I get to either the end of day 2 or the beginning of day 3, and I end up with a massive migraine that usually involves extreme pain, light sensitivity, vomiting, and diarrhea. I'm very good about drinking plenty of water during the detox. I stopped the 7-day detox at the end of day 3. I was about 6 weeks post-op from a hysterectomy and was afraid that the vomiting would disrupt some of the stitches I had on the inside. I would like to complete the 7-day detox. What advice do you have for me? With love and admiration, Misty. Okay, so everyone is different, without a doubt. And we always say, and honestly, we have now 5 years of clinical data of using this specific detox. And we see over and over that the more toxic a person is, like you just were post-op, you probably had anesthesia. You remember, your body stores some of those toxins and poison inside the fat cells inside the body. And as you're detoxing, you can think about this, that your body is now releasing almost, for one of the first times in a larger amount, all of these toxins, environmental toxins, and all sorts of other different things such as pesticides, dioxanes, PCBs, plasticizers, anything like that inside the body, even stored up excess estrogen metabolites like quinolinic acid. So you just have to keep in mind that there's a time and place to ease into detox in the first place. Now, a lot of times people write in, and that's what we suggest next time is don't wait, because again, I don't see these questions sometimes for 2 weeks later. Just write into support@drcabraldetox.com. Monday through Friday, you'll get an email back within 24 hours. If you write in early in the day, Eastern time, you'll get a reply back that same day. So we really do try to take care of people. And then also you can join our online group as well, which is just cabralsupportgroup.com. Free, there's no charge for that at all. And I think everyone's very supportive in that group. Really great group of people. But a lot of people, they say, oh, well, I can get a headache, but that's because people stop coffee. And if you stop caffeine, you get the caffeine withdrawal. So if you're used to drinking caffeine, you don't want the headaches, we'll do a small cup of black coffee first thing in the morning, or try to eliminate the coffee a week before you do your detox, or maybe even just do green tea instead. But remember, caffeine has to be processed by the liver as well, so that's not great during a detox. But again, it's better to do the detox with a little bit of black coffee in the morning rather than not do the detox at all. Because we know this, like everyone needs to be detoxifying, because as you'll see from a lot more of the research that I present, there is no human alive that's going to take a toxicity test right now and show up with 0 toxins in their body. So anybody who says, oh, there's no such thing as toxicity and like that, run a simple urine test. Just prove it. Say that, okay, I don't have any toxins. But right now, they've tested, and this is a video called 10 Americans put out by the EPA, and they test fetal cord blood as well as newborns the very first day of birth. And they find that the minimum toxins is 72. The average, I believe, was 290. And they only tested for 420 toxins. So out of the 420, again, 77,000 plus man-made toxins in the environment, but they only tested for 420. 290 came back on average. I mean, that is just, it's shocking. So we all know that we need a detox, but here's my recommendation. Simply start with the days 3 through 7 protocol. The day 3 through 7 protocol will not allow you to do as much of the stronger part of the detox, which is the first 2 days of the 4 shakes per day. That will allow you to ease through your first detox, because I'll tell you this, that most people, they report by their 3rd or 4th detox, whether it's a 7, 14, or 21-day detox, by the time they've done a few, they no longer get any of the side effects, none of the symptoms, because their body's cleaner. Like nothing changed within the detox. It's the same exact product. What changed was their body, without a doubt. And I'm convinced that the reason why I no longer have allergies, which was kind of like the last thing for me to go a couple years back, was because I've been detoxing seasonally now for 4+ years. And so again, like I've done, I can't even tell you, but it's been, I would say 15 to 20 detoxes. And I know that has now allowed me to be able to deal with sometimes getting less sleep because of my 2 little girls, because of, environmental toxins, all of those things. And so, you just have to stick with it, but start with the days 3 through 7. It's just going to be much easier on your body. And then eventually, maybe the second or third time you do the 7-day, 14 or 21-day detox, you'll be able to do those first 2 shake fast days as well. Okay, Ms. Taylor's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Thank you so much for the valuable information you share. I have a question about the 7-day detox. It looks like we have a lot of detox questions this week. I'm currently on day 3 and have some interesting side effects, and I'm hoping you can tell me if they're normal. I ate my vegetarian lunch, a salad. Within 2 hours, I had an urgent yellow liquid bowel movement that had green bits of my salad in it. My stomach doesn't hurt. In fact, I feel great. I feel almost euphoric and very energetic. Is this normal? I will mention I'm drinking more tea than I normally do, but not excessive. Thanks again. Okay, so the only thing the tea would do would be more of a diuretic effect, usually increase urination. So one of the things is, although this is, again, extremely rare, what can happen is the Dr. Cabral detox, it doesn't sound as great, but what it is the liver detox. So it gives your body the phase 1 and phase 1 nutrients that you're most likely not getting from your diet. It gives it to you at a much greater degree, which means that it can loosen a lot of sludge-like bile, and that's where a lot of the toxins are stored, obviously in your liver, because your liver is like the car filter. You drive down the highway in your car, and it picks up all the smog, all the dirt, so that you don't breathe it in. Well, that's what your liver does. It is literally cleaning your blood. Every 6 minutes, all the blood in your body has filtered through your liver. Your liver's job is to clean everything that comes through. And so what happens is, or what could happen, again, this isn't normal or it's more rare, but your body can release that bile into your colon, which is totally normal because that's where it goes in the first place. Bile gets released into actually the small intestine, but it can dump directly into the colon as well through the hepatoportic duct and vein, just like you would get the same stimulation from a coffee enema. So what happens is if you get that massive release of cholesterol, of hormone like estrogen buildup, of toxins from the environment, you absolutely could feel a euphoric or energetic based release from that. That's why a lot of people get that from coffee enemas as well. So, my recommendation is to simply keep going with it. I would, honestly, if you're on day 3, I would try to do the full 21-day detox so that you get more and more benefit. I don't expect that would happen again. And the other thing is, remember, these are 2 to 3 weeks ago that these questions come in. Write in at support@drcabraldetox.com. That's how you can get same-day answers Monday through Friday, or at least within 24 hours. So thank you, Miss Taylor, for writing that in, and I'm happy to hear that you're doing well. The bits of salad you saw are nothing to be worried about. It's just that you evacuated the ascending part of the colon faster than the food would normally come out. Usually that would have another, we'll say 12 hours or sort of breakdown before it made it out of your colon. Okay, Anonymous is up next. Hello, thank you for all your advice. I would love to hear what I eat in a day, Dr. Cabral style. What you eat on a regular daily basis for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Do you have a healthy dessert? Thank you. Okay. So Anonymous, I've gotten this a lot and I'm actually going to be doing a whole show on it, but I'll give a little spoiler alert. So if you go to drcabraldetox.com, it's just drcabraldetox.com, Dr. Cabral Detox. And of course, that's linked up in the show notes today. And if you look at the infographic, you'll see that there's 2 shake fast days of the detox shakes, and then there's a days 3 through 7. And again, I give this information away for free because if you don't want to do the Dr. Cabral Detox, fine, that's okay. I want everyone to have this information of what works better than anything else in the world. And if anything ever works better, I will change my protocol to reflect that. But right now, 4+ years running, this is absolutely what is working best. So what I do is I follow that days 3 through 7 pretty closely. So you can check that out right now. I'll give away some other little tips and if I have dessert or anything like that. And the difference, like the main caveat to that is that in the morning, I make a smoothie. I've talked about my smoothie before, but I put in a cup or so of berries or fruit. I throw in 1 tablespoon of my daily fruit and vegetable blend, 2 scoops of my daily nutritional support, which is the same thing as the detox powder. And then I'll sometimes put in some like a half a tablespoon or tablespoon of coconut cream or coconut oil. I'll throw in maybe a handful of spinach, but I always do my tablespoon of the daily fruit and vegetable blend, which is 22 organic fruits and vegetables. And I do that pretty much 7 days a week. You'll get to check it all out. And then on the weekend or one day, at least, there'll be a night where I absolutely do have a nice big cheat meal. And that is almost always, it's pasta or something that I really enjoy. And that will be one of those cheat meals. And then desserts, I'll talk about that on a future show. of what I think about them, having them after dinner. But of course, on holidays, I do indulge and I enjoy myself. Easter just passed, and I had, I think, an enormous slice of key lime pie that was just irresistible. So anyway, more on my typical day of eating coming soon. Thank you everyone for tuning in to another Cabral House Call. I appreciate each and every one of your listens, and I look forward to speaking with you tomorrow on our Motivation and Mindset Monday. Come back and check that out.
I want to sincerely thank you for your support of this podcast. I couldn't do it without you, and I mean that. I truly do. I also want to make sure you knew that we now have multiple ways for you to find your answers to the most difficult health, wellness, weight loss, and anti-aging questions. You can find podcast-specific topics like thyroid, adrenal, hormones, sleep, digestion, Ayurveda, and many more at stevencabral.com/podcasts that will then link you to your favorite Apple, Spotify, and other podcast players. Plus, all new podcasts and weekly exclusive video content is being added to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Stephen Cabral. And that's Stephen with a PH. Head on over and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the exclusive content. Lastly, if you've ever found any of my podcasts or books to be helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a review on iTunes or your favorite media player for the podcast. Rating and subscribing to the YouTube and podcast allow me to reach more and more people and help spread my mission of healing throughout the world. Thank you again for being a part of this movement.